Welcome to today's Office Hours presentation. Our Office Hours presentation is a relaxed, informal, free mentoring program that I do every Monday at noon Pacific time. The recordings are available online along with many of the previous week's recordings and exercises, and eventually all of the recordings to the Office Hour presentations will be archived in our members area. Our agenda for the call today is we're going to have an in-depth discussion of a business success principle. That I'm going to offer some closing remarks, some special offers, and an invitation for next week's session. And then we're going to have open questions and answers. And today's topic is a hot one. It's on getting stuff done, the keys to massive productivity. And I got to tell you, I was real excited to be able to present this material to you because in the process of organizing this presentation and creating it, I've become a much more productive person just by reviewing some of those success ones. And this is a hot topic. I searched on Amazon for the term time management and got 114,678 results. There are a lot of web pages out there dedicated to the concept of time management. And yes, there's a few people out there that say, you know, time management doesn't exist, that we can't manage the time. The only thing we can do is manage our schedule and manage our priorities. You know, I think that's cute, but in general, the term time management refers to being productive, getting more stuff done during the day, making good use of the time that you have available to you. One of the most popular books that I've seen out there is David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, that I remember reading many years ago. And I found lots of subtitles in the texts of the web pages that came up during my search about being more productive, about getting more things done in less time, about managing your schedule, and about building great habits. And you know, as I normally talk about, most of my subjects have to do with one or more of the key performance areas of business, which I talk about a lot, wrote about in my book, The Foundation Factor, that I put out in 2004, and which is the fundamental platform for all of my coaching activities and consulting activities. It's about teaching people what it means to be good in each of the key performance areas of business: leadership, marketing, sales, financial management, operations administration, product development, and customer service. And this is one that's clearly in the leadership area and clearly transcends all areas of the business, because getting things done, being more productive, is about being better, about having greater productivity in each one of the areas of business. But first, we're going to start with a little definition here. We're going to talk about productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, which are three terms which are very closely related when it comes to time management and getting stuff done. So productivity I define as the ability to generate, create, or enhance and brings forth goods and services. Just so you'll know, there are a couple other definitions out there, but this is the one that I like, and this is the one that I think is most useful for today's conversation. Productivity means getting more stuff done. Efficiency, however, means this is a very measurable concept and quantitatively determined by the ratio of output or input. And a third term, effectiveness, is a non-quantitative measure mainly concerned with achieving objectives. Here's a couple of other ways to explain that. So productivity means like you are more productive if you execute 4 marketing campaigns a month instead of 3. You are more efficient if you execute each one of those campaigns in an average of 20 hours instead of an average of 30 hours. And you are more effective if your campaigns produce better results. In other words, if they produce more leads or they produce more sales. That's the relationship between the term productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. But for the balance of the presentation today, I'm going to stick with the word productivity or productive, and I may use the word efficient or effective sometimes during the presentation. But I'll let you decide whether or not the concepts and principles we're talking about are really about productivity, efficiency, or effectiveness. And here's another way of seeing the relationship between those terms. Productivity is about doing more things. Efficiency is about doing things right. And effectiveness is about doing the right things. And we want to do all of those things in our lives and in our business. But I'm going to stick to using the word productive or productivity, as I said earlier. Now, productivity or being more productive to me is a perfect example of the relationship between personal growth and business growth. And for those of you who have known me, you know that I have dual passions, that I'm equally passionate about helping people start and grow businesses and about encouraging people to focus on the opportunity they have every day to do the inner work, to become a kinder, wiser person, to grow personally while they're growing professionally. To me, being more productive is both a skill set and a mindset, and we'll talk about both of those during the presentation today. It's an action and an attitude. It's about behaviors and beliefs. And there are lots and lots of ways. As I did my research, I found lots of ways to be more productive, efficient, and effective. I found dozens and dozens of them, and we're going to be talking about those dozens and dozens of ways in 10 different categories. We're going to zip through them real quickly, and then I'm going to spend a little bit more time on each one of them individually. The 10 categories are awareness, attitude, environment, your physical condition, scheduling, prioritizing, systems, focus, effort, and choice. Let's just jump right in and talk about those. First comes awareness. You know, awareness is very important whether you're growing personally or growing professionally. If you want to have better time management, if you want to be more productive, efficient, and effective, then this all starts out with logging your time and discovering how you're investing your time hour by hour, minute by minute throughout the day. Finding those places where you are hesitating or procrastinating and be brutally honest about those things that you're doing poorly, those things that are scaring you and causing you to be hesitant or resistant, and finding the ways that you are wasting your time. Self-awareness, professional self-awareness, is critical to beginning to be more productive in your life. After self-awareness comes attitude, and it starts with separating your action versus your feelings. One of my very favorite coaches and very favorite people right now is a guy named Eric Lawful, who's, I think, the leading sales trainer of his generation. He says one of his keys to success is separating action from attitude. It's separating action from feelings. It's doing the work whether he feels like doing the work or not. So one of the ways that you can be more productive is by simply choosing to do the work even at times that you don't feel like doing the work. And if you don't feel like doing the work, another way of changing your attitude towards the work is shifting your energy, is changing your feelings, changing your attitude and your perspectives, and then doing the work, because you'll be doing it from a happier place and a more empowered place. Another way of changing your attitude is gaming your work, designing little incentive programs or contrived little rewards to help make the work more enjoyable and to put a little fun and spice into your day. I do that a lot. Sometimes I look at the clock and I say, it's 10 minutes before the top of the hour. I'm going to see how much work that I can get done in the next 10 minutes. Or I'm going to take this next task that's on my list, and I'm going to see if I can get this done in 40 minutes instead of my usual hour. Sometimes when I'm closing the books at the end of the month, I'll say, I'm going to see if I can knock this out in 5 hours instead of the usual 7 that it takes me. Find a way to gamify the system. Find a way to game your work so that you can have a positive attitude toward it and turn it into something that's fun and enjoyable. And I oftentimes say, this is something I always said to my kids when I let them out of the car in the morning when I took them to school, work hard, play hard, and have fun. Work hard during the day, but also find a way to play hard during the day. Find a way to turn that job into something that's fun for you so that you can have a great attitude towards getting the work done. That's a key to productivity out there. One of the ways to shift the energy is not just to shift your attitude, but facilitate the shifting of your attitude and the shifting of the energy through making changes in your environment. You can put on some of your favorite music. Sometimes I'm actually more productive when I have a little television running in the background. Other times I listen to inspirational songs, stories, and talks, or I even sing little inspirational songs to myself. Or sometimes the right thing to do is to just shut off the music and shut off the TV and shut off all of those outside interruptions and just be quiet so I can focus. You get to choose how you shift your environment to be more productive. Some people use aromatherapy. A little orange oil or peppermint oil can help them shift their energy to being more productive. You can change the lighting in the room, turning off the lighting or turning on the lighting, or however you choose to do it, opening the curtains, shutting the curtains. You can enjoy a little better ergonomics, shifting the height of your chair, putting a little backrest in your chair. doing something to make your physical body more comfortable so that you can be more productive. And speaking of your physical body, you can do things to change your physical condition. You can get it something to drink. Hydration is really important. I found lots of articles online about the importance of keeping yourself hydrated throughout the day and how just drinking a few extra cups of water can really increase your brain activity and therefore increase your productivity. I also recommend the very judicious use of caffeine. Judicious meaning sparingly, if at all, and if you choose to use it in kind of an emergency situation. Don't use it like 6 or 7 Diet Cokes a day or 10 or 12 cups of coffee a day, because then it actually becomes counterproductive. It dehydrates you and can detract from your productivity over time as it builds up your stress. So if you choose to use caffeine at all, my recommendation is use it rarely and use it wisely. Having a snack every once in a while, raising your blood sugar, just getting a little something, a little piece of fruit, a little half of a protein bar, a little trail mix or something, can improve your attitude and improve your productivity. Breathing exercises can be very helpful. Just to sit back and take a big breath and let it out, or 2 or 3 big breaths, or paying attention to your breathing for just a few minutes can help relieve stress and help you increase your productivity. You can get exercise in the short term, getting up and walking around, getting up and stretching, doing some jumping jacks, some bending and touching of your toes, some stretching of the arms and legs, and coupling that with breathing exercises can really pump up the energy, ramp up the energy, and increase your productivity. And in the long term, doing exercises on a daily basis or 4 or 5 times a week doing your exercises can improve your physical conditioning, which can improve your productivity and your energy levels throughout the day. And take those re-energizing breaks every once in a while. Just pick up from your desk and take a 5-minute walk down to the water cooler, walk down to the refrigerator, do something, get the blood stirring a little bit, do something to shift your energy by changing your physical condition, whether that means eating something, drinking something, or moving around a little bit, can be a very effective way of increasing your productivity. Another way we're going to talk about this is a skill set, the skill set of scheduling. And I oftentimes tell people that it's very important to be able to make and keep great appointments with yourself. So when you find that there is something that you need to do, just carve out the time during your week or during your day. Make an appointment with yourself on your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, your iPhone, your smartphone, whatever it is. Make an appointment with yourself and then shut off all of the interruptions that might have normally occurred. Shut off the phone. Don't check your email. Don't check your social media. Treat yourself as if you are your most important client, because you really are. Make that appointment with yourself and keep that appointment with yourself as if you are your most valuable prospect or as if you yourself were your most valuable client. There's a concept that I read in an article a few weeks ago called maker's time versus manager's time. And the concept goes something like this. Managers work on half-hour increments or hour increments. And it's okay for you to schedule an interruption with them or to schedule a time to meet with them at the bottom of the hour or the top of the hour, because they're used to doing things in 30-minute chunks or 15-minute chunks or hour-long chunks. Makers or creators, creative people, however, need a longer chunk of time. If you're writing a computer program, you're writing a book, you're writing a business plan, you're creating your next product, whatever that happens to be, it's important for you to make a longer period of time on your schedule so that you have the opportunity to be creative. The author's point in the article that I wrote said scheduling 30 minutes to write a computer program never helped anybody. Just having an hour or so to write a computer program didn't help at all, because you can hardly get started in that period of time. You need chunks of time. 4-hour windows, 6-hour windows, 8-hour windows in order to be productive. So when you think about making and keeping a great appointment with yourself, be cautious about the length of time that you spend on that appointment, because it may be that an hour-and-a-half appointment or a 2-hour appointment or a 3-hour appointment is really what's appropriate for you being massively productive. Set your time allocation goals during the first of the week or during the day. Say, this day I'm going to spend 3 hours on client activities, 3 hours on product development activities, 2 hours on sales activities, 1 hour on financial management activities, etc. and meet out your day, schedule a day according to the time allocation goals that you have. Next, the next topic on our productivity list is prioritizing. Prioritizing is about organizing your tasks. I used to teach time management classes, and one of the important concepts that we taught during those classes was the concept of must do, should do, and could do. So once you had listed your tasks out for the day, you separate those into the things that you absolutely had to get done today, the things that you really should get done today, because if not, they were going to become a must-do for tomorrow, and the things that you could do. Some people say of identifying your A list, your B list, and your C list. However you decide to do that, it's important for you to break down your tasks into those things which are most important and need to get done right away, into those things which you surely should do today, or they'll become very important or urgent very quickly, and those things that you could do. And speaking about urgent versus important, in the book, I think it was the book, I'll know what the book is here in a second, but there's a concept, it's from Stephen Covey and Merrill in First Things First in 1994, introduced the concept of urgency versus importance, and creating a matrix for yourself and being cognizant of how your particular task falls into this matrix rather. Is it important and urgent, like a crying baby or a kitchen fire or some of the calls that you really have to make? Is it important but not urgent, something like exercise or planning your vocation? Is it not important and urgent, like an interruption or disruption or another call? Or is it not important and not urgent? Is it trivia, busy work, and time wasters, like we talked about earlier? Find those, when you take that list of tasks, organize them into the A, B's, and C's, or into the must-do, could-do, and should-do categories, and really ask yourself, is this something which is urgent and important, or is it something that's not important and not urgent at all, and in which case you just simply make a choice not to do it at all. After you've done that, you can have the attitude of biting the head off the frog. One of my favorite clients always said that when he got into the office during the day, the very first thing that he did was the toughest thing. The thing that he didn't want to do the most was the thing that he did first, so he could get that out of his way, and the rest of the day was much, much easier. So you may choose to do that. Instead of just figuring out the things that are most important to do, pick the thing that you really don't want to do. Pick the thing that scares you. Pick the thing that you're resisting. Predict the thing that takes a little bit of courage or boldness or bravery for you to do, and do that first and get it out of the way so that the whole rest of the day will be more productive. And it's important for you to have systems in place to create your task list and manage your task list. Some people like to do that online with a spreadsheet, which is one of the things that I do most of the time, or physically writing things down on a piece of paper. And there are hybrid systems out there where you might keep the big task list on a spreadsheet somewhere or online in a Word document, but pull it off and write it down to a physical list so that you can use it during the day. Because I really like scratching things off the list. I really like having something physically on a piece of paper so I can line through it. And of course the old joke goes, do you ever write things down that you've already done just so you can have the opportunity to scratch through them? I know I do that every once in a while, and if you do them, that's great, because that's a way of gamifying your system. It's a way of feeling more productive, and when you feel more productive, you feel empowered, and when you feel empowered, you are empowered. Another thing to do periodically is, if your system is not working, if you're just looking at that list of things to do, if you're looking at that Excel spreadsheet and for whatever reason it's not motivating you, then change your system. I do that personally every 90 days or so. I change the way with which I am keeping track of the things to do and figuring out which ones of those are the most important in my priority, and indicating those which I have already completed. Changing up systems is another way of shifting the energy and gamifying your system so that you can be more productive. And one of the tools that I've been using lately is simply something I call the top three. The top three means I take a little Post-it note or I take an index card and I write down the top 3 things that I'm going to do right now today, and when I'm done, I scratch those off, and then I take that piece of paper and I wad it up and I throw it away. It helps me focus, and it's another way of rewarding myself with something that's tangible and physical, something that's visual that I can feel and see, whenever I've been productive and gotten things done. So, but the bottom line of having your systems is the old adage of making a plan and then working the plan. Make a plan and work the plan. Spend a few minutes during the day, during the first of the day, to make the plan and then work the plan. You can create annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals. Whether you plan your day at the end of the day, the previous day, or plan your day at the beginning of the day, you can find that goal systems out there are very important. And having check-ins and accountability partners is important too. I know I always work with more than one coach at the same time. It's my privilege to be a coach and an accountability source for many people out there. And that's part of my productivity system, is having a coach that will ask me next week if I got everything done that I had committed to getting done in the previous session that I had with them. And you may find that helpful as part of your productivity system as well. Another aspect of being more productive is maintaining focus, and that is keeping the vision, holding that vision in your mind about who you want to be and the business that you want to create and the life that you want to create for yourself and your family, and finding a way to visualize that and using visualization techniques, things like mind maps, things like vision boards, things like about having a map on the wall or something that signifies it. I went to a men's group a few weeks ago, and they had us do a little exercise on a big piece of paper about writing down that vision, that thing that you would really like to do, that you really, really enjoy. And for those of you who can see this presentation, this is what I came up with. And hopefully you can see this okay. I'm that little bearded guy in the middle of the stage there. You can tell it's me because I don't have any hair, and I've got glasses on, and I got a beard. And I'm having a good time. I really, really enjoy the opportunity to speak to people, whether it be on a webinar like this or on the telephone or on stage with the spotlights and the audience. Oh my goodness, that's my most favorite thing. And in this vision of my ideal future, you'll see that the money is just coming in. Those are $1,000 bills that are being thrown in my direction, and they're accumulating in piles on the stage, and they're in wheelbarrows. And in my vision, in my story, we've already carted off wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow of money, and this is a perfect vision. You know, it's kind of silly, but whenever I see this, it really gets me excited. It really gets me focused on the things that I love to do and focused on the business that I am intending to create for myself and that I am creating for myself. So my question is, what's your vision for yourself? Do you have a way of expressing that visually so that you can see it and keep that vision in front of you? Another way is connecting the task to the vision. Connecting the task to the vision, I oftentimes tell the story about the guy who's out in the hot, hot sun in the middle of the summer digging a big old ditch, but he's just whistling away. And a guy comes up to him and says, how can you be in that ditch, digging that ditch out here in this hot sun in the middle of the afternoon, and yet you're whistling away like you're having a good time? What's wrong with you? The guy says, you know, I'm not digging a ditch. I'm putting my kids through college. He had connected the task, the uncomfortable task of digging a ditch in the hot summer sun with putting his kids through college, to where that connection between the task and the vision and the intention had turned it into fun and turned it into a joyful task for him. And you'll hear me talk about in my programs Beyond Business Survival and the Business Survival Boot Camp, the concept of the 60-30-10 model, of taking those top 3 things that you need to accomplish today or during the next hour or during the next 4 hours or during the next week, whatever time frame you choose, and focusing 60% of your time and your energy on the top priority, 30% on what's next, and 10% on the thing after that, and everything else goes in the parking lot. And the final way of keeping focus, which might work for you, is the old adage of just one thing at a time. It's just saying that I'm going to take this task list and I'm not going to focus on the top 3. I'm not going to focus on the top 5. I'm not going to focus on the top 2. I'm just going to focus on this one thing, and I'm not going to do anything else, nothing else, until I get that one thing done. That the key to productivity in that system is focus, focus, focus. Next way to be more productive is to focus, is to just simply put in more effort, is to ramp up your energy, is to choose to work harder and faster, is to choose to take massive action. It's to choose to work longer hours or work more efficiently or do both of those things. One of the ways that I like to do is the interval approach. I don't know if any of you have ever trained athletically. I used to run in high school, and now I train periodically to run or to ride my bike. And I really enjoy interval training. Interval training is it says that I'm going to go like crazy, just put forth an incredible effort for a short period of time, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to do it again, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to do it again. We train in intervals in order to get more stuff done and to build up our energy. But if that doesn't work for me, then I use the marathon approach. The marathon approach is when I get up in the first of the day and I say, you know, I'm going to treat today like a marathon. I'm going to treat today as if slow and steady is going to win the race. And I'm going to split my race of the day into 4 3-hour chunks. And for the first 3 hours, I'm going to work hard, and then I'm going to take a little break. And then I'm going to work hard for another 3 hours, and then I'm going to take a little break. And then I'm going to work hard for another 3 hours, and I'll take a little break, and so on, pretending that each one of those breaks is like taking a water stop whenever you're running a marathon. So that approach may work effectively for you if the interval approach doesn't work effectively for you. And the last one I've seen, a commercial on TV just in the last couple of weeks called One More Thing. Just do one more thing today before you quit, before you take that break, before you make that phone call, before you do whatever else is next. Just do one more thing, one more phone call, one more email, one more paragraph on that business plan, one more chapter in that book. Just one more. Ramp up the effort and choose to be more productive. And speaking of choice, that's the last thing on our list today. Take a warrior's mindset. A warrior mindset who has stepped into their power, and you visualize your enemy as being that complacency, that procrastination, even that fatigue that you may be feeling right now. Your enemy are those time vampires, that email, that social media, those personal phone calls, those interruptions that you have become your enemy. The task list itself can become your enemy. And you can ramp up and choose to have that warrior's mindset to just take care of those one by one as if you are slaying dragons. And you can have as your biggest ally of anything when it comes to being more productive is your own free will. It's taking responsibility for getting everything done right now as it needs to be done. Taking 100% responsibility for everything that happens in your business, and that means taking responsibility for getting the job done and simply choosing to get the job done day after day, hour after hour, minute by minute, just choosing to get it done. That's all about the attitude. Those are our categories. We talked about awareness, attitude, the environment, taking care of your physical condition, scheduling your day, prioritizing your tasks, implementing achievement systems, managing your focus, putting in a tremendous amount of effort, and making the choice every day to be productive. To me, as I said earlier, being more productive is a perfect example of the relationship between personal growth and business growth. It's about skill set and mindset. It's about action and attitude. It's about both behavior and belief. I believe that there are 1,000 ways for you to shift your energy. To shift your energy in terms of being more productive like we've talked about today, but not just that. To shift your energy to being a more peaceful person. To shift your energy to being a more joyful person. To be more whatever it is that you want to be. You've got the opportunity to do that, and I believe there's 1,000 ways for you to find to do that. So just practice. Practice shifting your energy. Practice being more productive, and you will get better. Practice, 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 and you will be great. That's the end of our presentation today. And I'm going to invite you to complete some exercises in between now and the next time that we talk to each other. I'm going to have a time tracking log posted to the website at paulhoyt.com/office/tribe/office-hours, and I think we'll have the link up here in a minute. Create your visualization aid, and it's okay if it's silly and stupid like mine is. Just make something that connects you with the fun that you're intending to have and the business that you're intending to create. Find your time vampires, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whether it be the email, whether it be constantly going online to check the news, whatever it happens to be, whether it be Pinterest or any of those other fancy websites out there. Find your time vampires and eliminate them, or at least manage them extremely well. Find your favorite ways to refocus and re-energize yourself, and just do it. Just choose to do it, and just do it. We're going to have open questions and answers here in just a minute. And as I mentioned earlier when we started, we like to have your comments and questions on the topic of the day first, and then we'll open it up to having any other issues that you have. But first, a few closing remarks. I encourage you to join my tribe on Skype. Just find my Skype address at Paul Hoyt. The information's nice and private there, and we're forming a little community to support each other during the week in between these calls. And I invite you to study. Watch the Business Survival Bootcamp program that most of you got at an extremely reduced price whenever you signed up for this program, so that you can learn key survival strategies and learn about your business complexity profile and oh so much more. And then I also encourage you to purchase and study Beyond Business Survival. Maybe I'm old school, but I found that reading the manual or studying, getting the education that I need, really pays dividends. I know that these days, whenever you're on a new website or playing a new game, that it's really about trial and error and finding out as you go. But you can't afford that in your business. It's not so much about trial and error. It's about studying and getting the education and the training that you need so that you can be successful. And that's what Beyond Business Survival is all about. It's that critical small business owner training. It's what you need to know when you're the CEO that helps you make good decisions and avoid those mistakes that will slow you down or shut you down. I really believe that this program is worth $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 or more. It's an online audio program with exercises and transcripts. You can go through it as often as you like. You can download it to your computer, your smartphone, or your Kindle, and it's got a private note area just for you so you can make it your own and keep notes as you go through it. In addition, I also still provide consulting services. I'm available for group coaching, private mentoring, strategic plans, business plans, financial models, radio interviews, webinars, and teleseminars this way, and I have a very generous affiliate program in place for those of you who would like to partner with me too. And then lastly, your kind words are greatly appreciated. You can give me a shout out on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google if you appreciate these office hours presentations and the messages that I'm bringing to the world, or send an email to me at paul@paulhoyt.com. I really appreciate your testimonials and your kind words. Next Monday, the topic is to be determined. That's right. You get an opportunity to pick the topic that I'm going to talk about next week. And so we have a link up, and I'll give this to you a little bit later on at http://goo.gl/06 capital A little y 6 capital P. We're going to leave that up for those of you. It'll actually be up in a second or so that you can go to there and take a survey and let me know what you would like for me to talk about next week. And of course, you're certainly able to type it in right now to the question box, which we will log and keep track of as well. In the meantime, watch the Business Survival Bootcamp and do your homework. And with that, I'm going to launch into the open questions and answers. This wasn't quite as relaxed call as I usually do, because golly, I get excited about being more productive. And when I'm more excited, then I'm more productive. And I just really love that and really love the fun of doing business and the fun of doing those broadcasts. So with that, I'm going to open it up and say, Audra, my capable assistant, do we have some questions or comments for today's presentation?
Whoa, Paul, you really...
Are you there? I cannot hear you, dear.
Yep. Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can. Thank you.
All right. So, Paul, thank you so much. People were very excited about this presentation. Just as an aside, you might have been a little fast for some people, so in the future maybe not quite so exuberant. We have some questions already. Somebody's asking, have you run across situations where people simply have too many goals, so many that they don't have enough years in their life to accomplish them, and then get into the time prioritization swamp instead of being honest that a more modest scope is needed in order to avoid accomplishing nothing?
That is one of the biggest challenges I see with most of the clients that I have. I think that most people who go into the business for themselves see it as an opportunity for creative expression, that they're creative people, that they want to create something. And as a consequence, they oftentimes have 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 projects. I know right now that I've got 15 projects on my project list, and every time I complete a project, I get to decide which one of those 15 projects that I want to focus on next. And the decision criteria changes. Sometimes the criteria is I'm going to do the project that's going to give me the most short-term cash. Sometimes it is I'm going to do the one that contributes the most to my long-term success. So you get to decide what your criteria are based upon where you are right now in your business and your life, and then analyze those opportunities based upon that decision criteria. One of the things that I do, by the way, as a coach consultant, is help people create their own decision matrix and make a decision as to which project or which task that they might do next based upon the decision criteria that they select and the relative weighting of those decision criteria. Weighting is in being good at short-term cash might be worth 10 points and being fun might be worth 5 points, or the opposite way around, so that you can find the one that best meets both your short-term and your long-term goals. So that decision matrix is a very important thing, and yes, that is a very, very common problem or challenge for most business owners out there, is choosing which project to work on and which one to focus on so that you can get something done to build your business. Next question, Audra.
All right, thank you. We have another question. You had mentioned systems. Do you have some favorite tools/systems like Outlook, Task List, or smartphone reminders to stay focused and complete tasks?
I have a lot of them. I use an Excel spreadsheet right now that I've used for years and years. In fact, I use lots of Excel spreadsheets. I've got an Excel spreadsheet to manage my pipeline. I've got an Excel spreadsheet to manage my list of things to do. And I've got typically many tabs within those spreadsheets to help organize and prioritize those things. So I use Excel, and then when it comes to project work, I use Smartsheets is one of my favorite ones. In fact, if you go to hoytgroup.com/recommendations, you'll see that Smartsheets is one of the 2 things that I have right now on my recommendations page. Smartsheets is it's much better than a spreadsheet in many ways. First of all, it's shared and collaborative and online, and second of all, it has the ability to create a Gantt chart, to really have a project chart. And there's a lot of good features with Smartsheets that I like too. And occasionally I use Google Docs as a collaborative tool for creating project plans that are shared, for spreadsheets and for Word documents that are shared amongst my team members. And I also use Skype. So I use a variety of different things. I have Office 2013. I use Smartsheets for project planning. I use Skype for a lot of communications. And I use my own Excel spreadsheets to keep track of a whole bunch of stuff. The key is finding a system that works right for you. And one of the things that I do as a coach certainly is help people figure out which systems that they are currently using and how they're working for them, and suggest ways in which they might switch out their systems in order to be more productive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Audra?
And Paul, actually, I'd like to add 2 things to your list, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
For those people who don't really like lists so much, or spreadsheets, or you get intimidated by them and you like to use cards instead, there's a system called Teambox, which I wouldn't recommend for very complicated projects, but if it's just you and you have a list, what Teambox lets you do is it's like putting a bunch of index cards into different shoe boxes. So if you're a visual person, sometimes that helps. You can drag things across from shoebox to shoebox.
Excellent.
So in addition, if you can't afford Microsoft Office, there's an open source version called OpenOffice, which I think is created by Oracle, and it does most of the things that Microsoft Office does. So just throwing those 2 out there.
Thank you, Audra.
You're very welcome.
Next question.
One of the things I found to improve any productivity is to mix fun activities, e.g. taking time for lunch with a friend, with important tasks. I find that the pressure of having to complete a task before I can take off helps me focus much more effectively on the task at hand. Have you ever used this type of technique?
Absolutely, and I talked about that earlier, although Audra says I talked real fast because I got really excited about this presentation. And fortunately, it's recorded, so you can go back through and listen to it and get the slides and really study the art and science of productivity if you choose. But one of the points that I made in there was to gamify your day, you know, to find little crazy incentives for yourself that says that, you know, once I get this done, I'm going to have a piece of candy. Once I get this done, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Once I get this done, or when I get this task done, I can go to lunch with my best friend Susie. You know, whatever it happens to be, you have the opportunity, because you've got free will and because you're a creative person, you've got the opportunity to turn your work into a game, to play and have it. I think Tony Robbins in his book, what was it? It was something about achieving the greatness within or finding the greatness within, something like that. I read the book several times, but unfortunately I've forgotten the name of it. He talks about the day that he got home from a long business trip and had like 23 calls that he needed to make. Well, he chose to make a game out of it. He chose to go sit in the hot tub and pour himself a glass of wine and make the calls from his hot tub, so that he switched his physical environment and he simply chose to be in a good mood and chose to have a good attitude and chose to have fun while he was doing the work. And that's a choice that we can all make every day.
Thank you. Another question. What system/program do you use for contact management?
Right now I use the contacts folder within Outlook a lot, which is synchronized with contacts on my smartphone, which is synchronized with contacts within Gmail, and I have a lot of contacts additionally in my back end in Infusionsoft, which I've just implemented in the last several months with the help of Audra and her team at the Executors. So I'm starting to think about using that as a CRM system as well. And then I typically will have separate spreadsheets for managing my pipeline of prospects and active customers. So I use several different tools for contact management. But I think my primary tool is if I want to look up somebody's email address or somebody's telephone number, it's all on my smartphone. That seems to be my master record. And then that's duplicated to those other systems as I go, so that it's available in a convenient form when I'm doing other tasks during the day.
Awesome.
Next question.
So this next question, Paul, I can actually field that answer if you don't mind. It's an Infusionsoft technical question. So somebody's asking if Infusionsoft can help you time management beyond contacts. So my answer to that is absolutely yes. The thing about Infusionsoft is it has an if-then-else engine, and I use it to actually manage projects where we have complicated things, like if somebody orders something and I need some information before the next task can happen. There are things in Infusionsoft that allow you to pop up tasks for different people on your team. So it's a very versatile engine, albeit it's a little more pricey than a lot of homebrew versions, but you know, if you're at that level, I definitely recommend you give it a try.
Thank you, Audra. I did not know the answer to that one.
Thank goodness I was here today.
That's good. We'd had to defer the question otherwise. Next question.
The next question. So what have you found to be an effective discipline to avoid booking too many here and now sales that don't expand domain expertise versus hoarding time, hoarding some time for R&D and new account development that will expand future competence?
Did you say here and now sales versus, is it do I do work on stuff versus work earning money versus work developing products? Is that the way you read that question, Audra?
I believe so. It's how do you make sure you get your bills paid now, but also make sure you set yourself for future revenue. Hopefully, Richard, that's what you're asking.
I have revenue goals and cash flow goals, and those are two different things. You know, having cash flow goals is one thing, and having revenue goals, which is your book income or your accrued income, those are two different things, and you have to manage both of them as a small business owner or an executive in a business. So I have revenue goals and I have cash flow goals, and during the month. And as long as I am meeting my revenue goals and my cash flow goals, then I feel at liberty to spend some hours during the day focusing on product development activities. And as many of you know, I've written 5 books and a couple of information products, so I'm literally writing and creating products every single day. I'm writing a few pages for my next book, or I'm thinking about ideas about my next information product or my next webinar or teleseminar series, and I'm doing that constantly throughout the day. But I'm very judicious about making sure that I'm meeting my revenue goals and my cash flow goals as well. So when I plan out my week and when I plan out my day, I take a look at that and say, how much business do I need to close this month, and who are my key prospects? How much business do I need to close today or this week, and who are my key prospects, so I can make those follow-up calls and do the lead generation activities to continually replenish my pipeline as I go along. So be responsible. Be responsible to yourself and responsible to your family. Sometimes it does not serve you to focus on writing that next book. Sometimes the thing that serves you the most right now today is to pick up the phone and talk to those prospects, or to go do those lead generation activities so that you can put more prospects into your pipeline. Next, Audra.
Thank you. Actually, Paul, I have, me personally, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
When you talked about the cash flow versus the revenue, what's the difference there?
I'll give you an example. Earlier in my career, when people asked for terms, I would do business plans or coaching programs and let them, I would say, have an extended credit term. So they would get to the point to where they owed me thousands of dollars, and in some unfortunate cases, it was tens of thousands of dollars that somebody owed me because I wasn't pressuring them to actually make payments on account, because I believed in them, because I wanted them to be successful. Well, I had to learn over time that just earning the money doesn't mean that you're going to get the money. So now I've learned to, on any major project, to ask for at least partial payment up front, so that I am sure to get the money that I need in order to keep my doors open and take care of my family in the way that I take care of my family. Oftentimes, learning the lesson of cash flow is, by the way, the most important success principle in business, and listed #1 on both my program, the Business Survival Bootcamp, and the Beyond Business Survival program, and that is that learning the lesson that cash is king, and that just earning the money isn't quite the same as receiving the money. So it's a very, very important lesson to learn. So whenever you sign a contract with a customer, I'm a firm believer in taking some money down and then taking progress payments along the way, and then in some cases, depending upon who the customer is, not giving them the final delivery until they've made the final payment. It depends on your market. Some big markets, if you have, if all of your companies are very large multinational corporations with a 5, AAA bond rating or something, you don't have to worry about it so much. If your clients are startup businesses, it's a very good idea to manage your credit policies and manage your cash, because unfortunately many small businesses get themselves in a point to where they have to make tough choices about whether they pay you or keep the doors open, and a lot of times they choose to keep their doors open and let the payments to you slide. So it depends on your market, depends on the nature of the activities you do, but you have to take responsibility as a business owner for not just managing the revenue and managing the earned income, but managing the cash that comes in your door.
Thank you. That was brilliant.
Next question, Audra.
As a small business owner, what, if any, activities do you outsource, or would you recommend to be outsourced?
That's a really good question. In the CEO space community that I'm a member of, there's a saying that says, if it's not your genius, it's not your job. In other words, if you're not just super excellent at it, then outsource it to somebody else, hire somebody else. There's another statement out there that says, if it's not fun for you, if you can do it but you don't like to do it, well then hire somebody else to do it, because that will ramp up your energy and allow you to be more passionate and have more fun in your work. And those are really great adages. If you don't do it well, or if you don't like to do it, well then hire somebody else to do it. The challenge for small business owners is you don't have enough money to do that a lot of time. Sometimes you have to do it even if you're not very good at it, or even if you don't like to do it. So sometimes you just have to suck it up and choose to do it to the best of your ability, whether you like it or not. And sometimes, oftentimes, you have to take responsibility for learning how to do something that you've never learned how to do before. And by the way, that's exactly what the Beyond Business Survival training program is all about. It's a recognition that CEOs, especially at small businesses, have to be competent in every area of business. Because if you're not competent in every area of business, you will find that your business is struggling. You'll never reach your full potential by doing that. So learning to be competent first starts out with the education of understanding what the job is, and then getting some basic training on the nuts and the bolts of marketing, for example, or salesmanship, or financial management, or product development, or any other key performance areas, so that you can be competent at it until you have the money to hire somebody else to do it for you who's a genius at it and who loves to do it. It is quite a paradox. It's quite an oxymoron. It's quite a challenge for many business owners to learn to be competent at that which they never even knew existed before, so that they can survive long enough to build up their revenues and profits, so they can hire somebody who can do a better job and who will enjoy doing it more than they enjoy doing it. Next question, Audra, and it's 12:55, so I think we're going to just answer one or two more questions, and then we're going to call it a day. But go ahead, Audra, next question.
All right. As part of time management and revenue planning for a small or brand new business, how much focus should be in getting sufficient initial funding or money in the bank before actually really starting the main purpose of the business?
Tough question, and it really varies dependent upon the business. And I'm going to give you two examples where these are other far ends of the continuum. One of the examples would be, I want to create an airport. Well, there's no point in sticking your shovel in the ground and digging that first spade of dirt to build that first runway unless you've got the entire project funding, because the airport isn't going to be functional at all until you get the entire thing built and then you open it. The last, I think, major airport that opened was 1995 in Denver, Colorado, and it was a year late and cost billions and billions of dollars, and there was no point in even starting to acquire the land or dig the foundation of that first runway until they had the entire project funded. On the other end of the spectrum might be a coaching activity. If you decide that you're being a coach, it's something that you can enter into for only a few $100s to get the basic training and the basic branding, and immediately begin to go to your marketplace and engage with the marketplace. In the Business Survival Bootcamp program, one of the first tips I talk about is the most important thing in business is getting those first customers. It's getting out and selling your products. It's engaging with the marketplace so that you can learn the lessons that only the marketplace can teach you. And once you've begun to generate revenue for yourself, to have a relentless and passionate pursuit of financial stability. Those are your first two incredibly important milestones. Engage with the market, and then have a relentless pursuit of financial stability. The amount of money that you need to do that, to engage with the marketplace, the amount of money that you need to give yourself the time to get to be financially stable, depends entirely on the business. There's some businesses that you can start for a few $100. If you've got a consumer product and you want to bring that to market, I don't know how you can do that for less than $150,000 or $200,000, because you might have multiple prototypes, and marketing and branding and packaging and pricing, and all of that stuff costs a lot of money. So it really depends on the type of business that you have. Again, the two ends of the spectrum, some things that you can do right now for just a few $100 or even a few dozen bucks, and some things will require billions of dollars before you ever turn that first spadeful of dirt. One final question, Audra, then we're going to call it a wonderful day.
And Paul, this one's a doozy. So, somebody wants to know, how much business have you lost because of asking for money up front, if any? Oh, because you have not asked for money up front.
Well, I think that I've probably had a few people that I really wanted to work with who couldn't afford my products or services today. And by the way, one of the strategies and tactics that I use to address that because I really do want to help people, is I have a very rich product line. Yeah, I've got books that you can buy for $20. I give stuff away for free. I've got a CEO training program that's only a few $100s. I've got a coaching intake process that's like $1,000. And then I've got other more expensive programs for strategic planning and writing business plans and that. If you have a rich product funnel, then you're able to support people in the way that's just right for them based upon where they are in business and how much money that they have to spend with you, what that they can afford. So I don't lose a lot of money or a lot of clients because they don't have 10 bucks. I may lose a business plan client because they can't afford the many thousands of dollars that I charge for somebody to do a business plan, but if that's where they are, maybe there's some other things that I can do to support them ahead of time. But I will say that I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's me being authentic with you, until I learned the lesson of getting the money up front and having credit policies. So my encouragement to you is don't lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Far better to have to lose a client because they can't afford to make the down payment than to have a client who never paid you in the first place. I think that's our last question. I got 1 o'clock straight up. Wow, what a great session today. I just loved it. Be sure to go take that survey. I'm sorry I didn't put this up earlier, but it's http://goo.gl/06 capital A little y 6 capital P to take a survey about what next week's topic of conversation is going to be. And if you have any questions at all about ways in which that I can serve you or anything about the products and services that we offer, just email me at paul@paulhoyt.com or give me a call at 415-997-8001. And I am passionate about helping you however I can make progress in your business and progress in your life. This is Paul Hoyt signing off, wishing you a most marvelous and prosperous day. Bye-bye.